What do you think is behind your client's mask, the facial mask, or even energetic mask that they show within our sessions? Today, today's fast action conversational hypnosis training is all about faces, our clients' facial expressions, and how we can utilize something like their facial expressions to help them with their breakthroughs, which is super cool and super crazy once we actually get a hold of it. So, what we're going to talk about today are what to actually avoid when we start using these unconscious nonverbal cues to help our clients with, and what to actually look for within their faces. And third, how to utilize their facial expressions as a gateway for their breakthroughs. So let us begin. When we're talking about facial expressions, right? These are unconscious for the most part. Sometimes we can force ourselves to express emotions in different ways, like actually telling ourselves, okay, I'm going to smile now and I'm going to look very happy. We can fake that, or we can fake sadness, or we can fake anger in our faces. And really, what we're going to really focus on is the in between, or even the incongruencies of what our clients' faces are telling us, to really help them to see where they can improve on, to see where they're holding themselves back, and of course, or where they're limiting themselves in, so that they can better their lives, which is what we're here for, right? And the first thing that I want to talk about is what to avoid when using our clients' facial expressions. So I'm going to give you the things that you want to look for, but once you actually spot these, you're looking for the unconscious expressions, right? And because it's highly unconscious, it is highly variable why that particular client, why that particular person is displaying that sort of expression in their faces. So what we want to avoid is assume that we know that because a client has this facial expression, this means this. We really want to avoid this thinking, and this is going to be very challenging because we have been trained this way traditionally in our hypnosis and NLP methods. So what you want to avoid is, for example, a client is like doing this and maybe like feeling disgusted or something, right? So with whatever it is that they're talking to you about with their problem. So they're feeling disgust, maybe they're coming to you because they want to stop eating sugar too much, right? They have this dependency on sugar and they're like looking like this, feeling very, very disgusted. This is what we want to avoid. We see a client feeling very disgusted. We as the practitioners think, okay, she feels disgusted. Maybe she is feeling ashamed of herself, and therefore I have a shame protocol. Therefore, I'm going to cut energetic cords to herself because she is ashamed. Now I'm going to look through the abandonment wound thing, and then now I'm going to regress to the shameful parts of her. Now I'm going to do this because I am perceiving the disgust as I think the root is going to be this way. This is something that we completely want to avoid because, first of all, that ain't client centered. Second, assumption. We could be wrong because we cannot be inside a client's minds, unfortunately, right? And number three, it potentially steers the direction of the session to somewhere where the client doesn't need to be in. Okay, so we really, really, really want to avoid that. And so we want to start thinking about in our sessions, like this is what I tell my conversational hypnosis students. I tell them that any unconscious expressions that they see are simply just signs that you're on the right track. You're not going to overanalyze and psychoanalyze that unconscious expression because you're not going to know for sure, but you're just going to notice what they are and grow it so that the client makes their own sense of it. That is the most important thing, right? We don't make sense of this disgust, the client does. And if we assume, if we add a protocol right away, if we add a technique right away, if we try to regress to the memories in their past where they felt shame, it might not be the thing that our clients need at that moment in time to solve their problem. And this could lead us to have more sessions with our clients. This can lead us to not get to the root cause because we're steering the direction somewhere else. And this can really slow down our breakthroughs. Instead, how about we take a step back and keep it super simple and look for these instead? You want to look for skin color changes within their faces. So right now, I guess this is my regular color. If for some reason I get super duper red around my face or wherever else in my body as I'm talking to you, I'm just talking here and eventually I start to get really, 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 really red, or the opposite happens where I start looking very pale. You can see that. You can see paleness through my face, or you can see it in their lips. These are the things that you actually want to look at. When that happens, just pay attention to it. I'll actually talk about that later after this. So skin color changes, any, like I mentioned already, any flushing in the skin and lips, redness, flushing. If they actually say, oh my God, my face feels really, really hot, really, really warm, pay attention to that. And also any tenseness in their muscles, which I mentioned earlier. Like, are their like eyebrows really like furrowed? Can you see them doing this with their jaw? Like you can see the tightness of their jaw, like they're doing this with their faces as you're going through your hypnotic interview. Those are the things that you also want to look for. So, for example, a client comes to you, and we'll use the same example of the sugar addiction, right? And they start going like this when they start talking. So you can see different muscles, and it's very atypical for that client to have that facial expression. So what you want to do is literally just place your client's attention on it. That is it. You're going to place your client's attention on it. Again, we are not going to make sense of it for them. We are not going to tell them what it is and apply a technique based on this. What we're going to do is we're going to give the platter to them because that just makes sense, right? It's easier to just give it to the clients for them to actually make sense of, because it is their issue. It is their mind that needs the rewiring and the reprogramming. Why are we doing the reprogramming? It's them, right? So one of the examples, sometimes this can be really hard for people to grasp. So if I asked you now, client goes like this as they're talking to you, how are you going to put your client's attention on it? What question are you going to ask, or what statement are you going to say? This part here seems very simple, but when we sit with our clients, and especially in the training, sometimes my students have a difficult time, again, because we're not trained this way. This is a skill set. That's why in the training, especially in the live trainings, we go through this over and over and over again, because the skill of keeping our clients' attention on their unconscious expressions is something that is quite a challenge, especially at the beginning. But that's why there's live trainings and support to help them out, right? So how would you ask a client a question when they're like this? How would you place your client's attention on that unconscious expression of like doing this with their face? So what I would do is just say, so any of these things, depending on the context, these are all context related, and these are all client related, right? Most of the clients who I tend to work with are very, they obviously have grown to be good with my very jokey personality, where I'll just be like, what are you doing with your face? What's happening with your face? That's it, right? That's how you place your client's attention on it. They go like this, and I'll just say, what's going on with your face? Or I'll just ask, what's happening right now, right? Those are the very, very, very simple things that you can ask your clients. You can ask your clients so that their attention continues to be on that unconscious moment. Super simple, as you can hear, what is going on with your face or what is happening now is such a normal conversational type question, right? There's no crazy language pattern. There's no artificial suggestions or any type of rapid or deep induction type shit. This type of questioning is very simple, but very effective. If you think about it this way, I'm going like this, and if I were to be asked, okay, what's happening right now, and then I'll start to be more self-conscious and introspect and be like, yeah, I just feel this weird feeling whenever I eat the sugar, if that was your client, right? And that way they can focus their attention internally, which is what is needed for therapeutic breakthroughs, right? Right. It's not the rapid induction, it's not the forced regression. It is when that client is actually noticing what is happening to them as they're talking about the problem and noticing what is happening inside their bodies, that they can be like, okay, shit, this is happening now. What is going on? That is how they train themselves to change their old patterns. That is how they train themselves to become a person, a better person, right? That is how they start to actually let go of those old habits, because they'll have more of an understanding of an insight as to what is happening. This is therapy 101, right? Making an unconscious expression conscious, or making anything unconscious conscious. So this is really what we're doing. And this is the basic principle of conversational hypnosis. Very simple conversational type questioning, plus the power of just asking your clients about it. So what is going on with your face? What is happening right now? Why are you making that face? That's a funny face you're making. What's going on? And a lot of them are probably going to be unconscious of it, right? They don't know that they're doing it. And they say, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I was making that face. What face was I making? And then that conversation becomes very unusual and very odd. But it is through that conversation that we actually get to the root of the problem. So this is how we actually help our clients to reveal the mask, reveal the best version of themselves, because sometimes we are, as humans, we are so good at faking it, right? We are good at faking it. And through placing our clients' attention on their unconscious expressions, that gap of what they're showing to the world and the gap of what they're actually feeling isn't as conflicted, isn't as far of a gap. And then they can see those two gaps, which then they can integrate it with our help through following conversational hypnosis principles, as well as neuroplasticity simple principles, because just by having our clients' attention internally and knowing and noticing the shifts that are happening within their bodies is what creates lasting change, is what creates changes within their nervous system. So I hope that this helped and was very informative for you. Definitely take action on this. When you have your next hypnosis session, just be more curious and open to looking at what your client's facial expressions are. Avoid psychoanalyzing each and every glitch that your clients are doing with their face. That's not the point here. It's just noticing that they happen whenever we hit a theme with regards to them, whenever they talk about a certain topic. Those are like the higher level things that we teach in conversational hypnosis, like what was the question and what was the response, and if that response actually created the changes in facial expressions, that is gold. Keep your clients on that. And what you want to look for is again, just regular changes in their facial expression, any notice changes in their skin, any flushing, any lack of or also lack of circulation that causes paleness. You can see in their face or their lips. Note that, and what you want to do is utilize it by placing your client's attention on it, by asking them what is happening right now, what are you feeling, or however your client responds to. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Let's make a massive impact together, one conversation at a time.